Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the ROYL Life Podcast. Thank you for joining us this week. We have a fun and exciting episode for you all with our good friend Sir Willow. We'll get to introducing him in just a moment, but a few things I want to make note of. First and foremost, the virtual studio is complete. So you can see behind me, the Made to Thrills are up, the shelves are up and going awesome there. And also, it's looking a lot like Christmas. So we have our epic destination tree, garland, all that good stuff. And yeah, so welcome to the finished virtual studio. but anyways, in other news, um, I want to push this for the next few weeks here. We have two more episodes after this week for um, season 4. So next week we have a young man by the name of Savage Simon. He is a Christian, up and coming Christian music artist, and he has some interesting music. We've had guests on here that um, make like your typical, not typical, but like your CCM music. What Simon does, the theme of his music is obviously Christ centered, but they have a roller coaster focus, and it's going to be cool. I'll let him talk about it next week, so tune in for that. And then the following week to wrap up season 4 is a podcast that I actually recorded with recently. I don't know when the episode will go out, but the name of it's called Tune My Heart, where it looks at animated movies from a Christian perspective, looks at the story of the movie and gives a biblical focus on it. It looks through it through biblical lenses, so to speak. So that's going to be a fun way to end this season. And we do have a special bonus episode the week of Christmas, so stay tuned for that. But also, I wanted to push this out, like I said, for the next few weeks. So Answers in Genesis, I've been plugging this for quite some time now, but Answers in Genesis is having a conference this May 2025, called Spark at the Ark, which is a themed attractions, themed entertainment conference. It's brand new, 2-day conference, May 6th and 7th, at the Ark Encounter and Creation Museum. It'll bring in some of the industry's biggest names and some good Christian folks that work in the industry. So, off the top of my head, Alan Green, good friend of ours here on the podcast and in the ministry, and just a good friend of myself. He's going to be hosting the conference, and he's going to be opening the conference. I'm not sure how he's doing that, but he may just do like introductions and things like that. But he'll also be announcing some cool projects coming to Answers in Genesis attractions in the future. So we'll have him definitely on the podcast to talk about this conference as well as those projects. I'm excited for you guys to hear it. It's going to be huge. If you thought the Ark itself was huge, wait till you see what they have in store. It's going to be awesome. Then we have Garner Holt of Garner Holt Productions. He makes animatronics for Disney, Universal, and just a bunch of different attractions. Awesome guy. I've heard a few interviews he's done with folks, and I hope to have him on here eventually. But he's going to be there talking. They have a current Disney animator. He's done films such as Frozen 2, Inside Out, Wreck-It Ralph. I think he worked on Coco. I'm not 100% sure, but he's going to be there speaking. A former theme park specialist, so to speak. I forget these guys' names, which I'm sorry for that. But check out their website, answersingenesis.com. Go to their events page and look for Spark at the Ark. Currently, they are selling tickets for $75. This is why I'm pushing it. If you are interested at all in this conference, first and foremost, check out the website so you can learn more about what it is and if you're interested in it. It's for anyone in the industry, anyone interested in going into the industry, or someone who just loves going and learning behind the scenes of how these attractions and things are done. I highly recommend it to anyone in those categories. Like I said, I want to push this now because as of today through December 31st. They're running an early bird sale for $75, which includes 3 tickets, 2 of which will be used for the conference, and then 1 extra one to go anytime that week to those attractions to visit it. It's a park hopper, so you could go to the museum and the Ark if you choose to do so. And it covers your meals. It'll have a breakfast and dinner and lunch, I believe, through the conference. Behind the scenes tours of some of the things they're working on currently, and we'll also be going to the design studio that we had a meet up at this year. So we'll be going back to that at this conference, and you'll get to see some of the things we saw at that meetup. And you get to be a part of all of the sessions and workshops they have available. So go ahead and check out answersingenesis.com. We'll leave the link in the show notes below, but definitely check that out if you're interested in it. But without further delay, let's go ahead and jump into this week's episode. And as you can tell by my shirt here, if you're watching it, which, by the way, if you didn't know, we have a video version of the podcast over on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Just simply look up Right of Your Life Ministries. It'll be there, and you can view this episode as well as all the episodes of this season on there. But we are joined in the virtual studio today by Sir Willow himself, George Burnash, good friend of mine, good friend of Right of Your Life Ministries and the podcast. This week, he's back to talk about what God's been doing in his life and just some of the cool trips and things he's been able to go on. And we talk about my recent experience at Silver Dollar City, which you can see our trip report and just our vlog over on Epic Destinations channel, which is just a fun little page I post in every now and then. Not a regular vlogger or anything like that, but whenever we go to a new park, we want to bring you along to see it through some new eyes. So go over to Epic Destinations. I'll leave a link for that in the show notes below as well. But we got to spend some time with him at Silver Dollar City. We'll talk about it a little bit in the episode, but we'll also be talking about some of the recent announcements from Silver Dollar City, which if you're watching the podcast, you'll notice a little timestamp I had at the bottom. One thing we mentioned, that this was recorded prior to the announcements. It was cool, but we talk about that, and then we talk about D23 and so much more. I just enjoyed my time talking with George, and I know and I hope you'll enjoy it as well. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this week's episode of the podcast. You don't want to miss a second, so go ahead, buckle up, because here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Right of Your Life podcast. We are joined in the virtual studio again by a good friend of ours, and one that we've got a lot of good feedback from last season. George Burnash, aka Sir Willow. How you doing?
I am doing great. Happy to be back.
It's great to have you back, and I was just listening to the episode again from last season, and it was so much fun. We knew we had to bring you back for another season and just talk about parks and stories and just anything that comes across our path. So before we jump into your introduction, Kinsey and I actually got to spend a little bit of time with you at Silver Dollar City recently, and we're excited to talk about that. And it was just great.
I didn't scare you off. I was happy.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. We enjoyed it. And of course, we'll talk about it in just a moment. But we enjoyed the saloon show there. And heard we missed something that could have happened to me in the show. But it is what it is. But let's go ahead and have you introduce yourself for those who haven't heard last episode. Which, if you haven't heard last episode with George Sir Willow, go back and listen to that before you listen to this one. But for those who haven't heard of you yet, go ahead and introduce yourself. Just a little bit about yourself, your testimony, and Sir Willow.
So I'm a YouTuber. Have worked at Busch Gardens, Walt Disney World, and Silver Dollar City in various capacities for about 10 years. So that's the theme park background. I've been a roller coaster and theme park nut since I was late teens. But I'm also a minister. We were pastoring a church here in Southwest Missouri for a dozen years or so. And now we're branching out a little bit, speaking at different churches every week. So I'm on the road a bunch. But Silver Dollar City is kind of my home park right now, and I was happy to introduce you to it. But just love doing anything and everything: theme parks, roller coasters. Yeah.
Fair enough. Awesome. But you did mention, and we've already kind of alluded to it, but Silver Dollar City is your home park.
Mm-hmm.
We got to experience all the coasters, and I want to know which of those coasters is your favorite.
The one I'm on.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I have a hard time, honestly. Outlaw Run, I wish you had gotten to experience it at first couple seasons, because it's not as smooth as it used to be. But of the ones in the park right now, I probably would go with Time Traveler or Powder Keg. Wildfire's a great B&M ride. Outlaw Run, I still have a blast. My daughter thinks it's too rough. I love it. Thunderation started to show its age, and then the new Fire in the Hole is just fantastic.
Yes.
Absolutely love what they've done with that.
Yeah, and I have to agree. Time Traveler is probably our number one coaster at the park. We loved it, and I got to get a night ride in right before the park closed.
Nice.
When we went, and it blew my mind. Just not knowing which direction you're going to be turning in the pitch black darkness. That was amazing.
And when you hit one of those inversions sideways, that is totally different.
Yes, it is, and we've never ridden anything like that, so that just blew our mind in general, and we loved it. And each ride experience is different, so you never know what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
So that we love that. And as you mentioned, Fire in the Hole, wow! And
they've done such a wonderful job with that.
I can only imagine what the original was like, but this is what a modern dark ride needs to be like. This, if Dollywood were to mess with a certain dark ride coaster in the park, I hope they do this.
So Blazing Fury, honestly, if you've been on Blazing Fury, you have a very good idea of what the original Fire in the Hole was.
Okay.
Several of the scenes are actually the same kinds of scenes. Couple of differences. I don't think Ned Flanders is on Blazing Fury.
Yeah.
But otherwise, a lot of similarities there. And then you can see taking that and then fully updating it.
Yeah. Those animatronics and figures were amazing. And I love how they blended screens and figures, and it wasn't just screens or wasn't just figures. It was a modern, beautiful blend of both.
And outside of the very end, when the town's celebrating, there's spots where there's a screen. You wouldn't know that there's a screen because of the way it's blended in.
Like the firefighter. Actually, the Red Flanders scene. You couldn't tell his wife in the window was a screen unless you were looking closely. But that was neat. And how they did the bald knobbers. They were creepy, I'll say that, but they did it in a very tasteful way.
So the masks that they have, those are actually based on the historical masks that the bald knobbers would wear.
Wow.
So, yeah, if you're not familiar with them, you're kind of like, what on earth? But the bald knobbers were a real vigilante group here in the 1880s. And so the story they tell about them burning the town of Marlborough, that's actual history. That was right around where the park is now.
Wow. And it's neat that's one thing I loved about the park is they kept up with their history and just honored their history and not just said, oh, well, we're on top of this cave and whatever. But they truly made you feel like you're back in the 1800s and just, it was amazing, top notch. And
did you get to do the cave tour?
We didn't. We saw how small that hole is that you have to go through. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that was a part of the tour.
It's just one spot. It's one place where you walk through and you basically have to duck down through that and come out the other side.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's not really a crawl or anything. It's more of a kind of a sideways walk briefly.
Gotcha. But we definitely...
So you didn't get to hear the story about the bear.
No. What is the story of the bear?
So there's this old Indian legend, and I'm going to completely mess this up. But the Indians that were in the area, the Native Americans, excuse me, sorry, old carryover from the train. We used to do a show where we talked about Indians out there, but the Native Americans actually had this legend about the cave, and I can't remember what the name of it was, and I have to look it up. But basically, one of the local Native Americans was chasing this bear, and this bear had gotten away from him, and he was trying to find it, and he's tracking him down and going after him, and he's almost up on this bear. He could see him, and he ends up actually slipping and falling into the cave and yelling at the bear, and whatever the name was basically translate to, "You stupid bear." A couple of the cave guides tell this story, and they tell it much, much better than I do, because they get you all wrapped up in this story and this bear and whether he's going to get away.
But we already do want to come back to the park, so we definitely want to do that when we return. But the Harvest Festival was amazing. I love what they did with the pumpkins, the lighting, everything. It just blew us away. And we thought we covered the whole park. But when it came nighttime, we're like, did they just add this part when we were walking throughout the park? But I love how big the park is and just how much there is to see and do there. Like, I don't think we did the Grand Expo. I think we somehow got around that area, but we were really impressed with it. And just the pumpkins they had in that area was just amazing.
So, did you hear how many pumpkins?
No, how many?
So the artificial pumpkins, the ones that are carved and lit up and hanging and stuff like that, I believe the number there is something like 7,000.
Wow.
What I heard. The real pumpkins, there's over 20,000 of them in the park.
Cow, that's crazy.
So, yeah, they've... when we first started going and working there, they didn't have the night hours for this festival. They didn't have all the pumpkins and everything. I think the first year for it was really the first year right before COVID.
Wow.
So all of the nighttime stuff and all that is all new. Used to be just the craftsmen and then the cowboys. So it's really been neat to see how they've added onto it and how much it's grown.
Yeah. And we were impressed with the craftsmen there as well, and just the different booths and stuff they had. And just anything and everything, basically. If you can make it, they probably had a booth for it. So I was impressed with that. And then we had a skillet. Wow.
Yes.
Those.
Which one did you have? There's
we
5
had the
of them in the park now?
We had the sausage one. So that one was right next to the saloon that we had at.
Yep.
And it was so good. And the only complaint I had was, and I'm surprised I never say this, but I wish the portion was a little bit smaller. But they gave us this big foam bowl, and it's like, how in the world am I supposed to finish this? But it was so good.
I laugh when I hear people talk about the food prices at Silver Dollar City and the servings, because it's big servings, and the prices are comparable really to what you pay outside. I think the in-park price for the burger and fries is around $15. Yeah. What are you spending at McDonald's anymore? And these are so much bigger and better, and I love the food.
So that was our lunch. Then for dinner, we ate at the pizza place right outside of Outlaw Run. I forget what it's called.
Crossroads Pizza.
Yep. It was pretty good for being a pizza place at a theme park. It was really good.
So, brick-fired. Dough is made from scratch every morning. Fresh ingredients, so it's not processed cheese. They shred the cheese there. They slice the meats. Well, at least they used to slice the meats. My son actually worked there. He helped with all that, and he'd come home smelling like pizza. But yeah, all fresh stuff, and they've got a couple unique pizzas there as well.
I know they had a lot of them themed to the attractions and coasters there, so that was neat that they embraced on that. Speaking of Outlaw Run, I have to agree with you. We've ridden quite a few RMCs around the country, and this one, I'm thankful it paved the way for the RMC of what it is today. But it's definitely showing its age, depending on where you sit.
It was an experiment as well with the type of track. It's a topper track, so they've got the wood stack, and then they have this. It's a metal tube on top to simulate the wood coaster track. You'll notice it's the only RMC that uses that track style. Good reason for that. It did not work the way they had hoped it would work. And yeah, they've actually, I don't know how much necessary for you to say, but there have been portions that they've had to redo a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Gotta do what you gotta do, but
hey, you learn from it, and then you go from there to lightning rod, which now actually works with real lift.
Yes. That's a whole nother topic. But
yeah,
we wouldn't have like a Steel Vengeance. We wouldn't have a trying to think what all's out there. Wildcat's Revenge. We wouldn't have any of those if it wasn't for Outlaw Run. So we're thankful for that.
Yeah. Twisted Colossus and
Storm Chaser and all that.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at my list of favorite coasters and how many RMCs are up in that top area. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big wooden coaster fan, but RMC gets the woodens up towards the top.
Yeah, see, I love traditional wood, especially when it's properly taken care of. And so it almost bothers me to see all of these hybrids taking the place of the real ones. But they do such a great job with it.
Yeah, and that's another thing we noticed about the park. They take care of their rides, no matter how old it is, new, old. They take care of them, and we love the flooded mine. We love how they take care of that. And has it recently gone through like a not like an upgrade, but like some maintenance or something like that? Because it seems fresh.
Every off season, they go through and freshen it all up. So all the prisoners' clothing gets refreshed every year, and things like that. It's actually, considering its age, it's looking pretty good. Of course, having been there a bunch, I can go through and I can kind of go point out all the other stuff. But I enjoy it. The guns are terrible.
That was my next point. I wish you knew where you were shooting.
Yes. So, well, in fact, when we rode it this last week, one of my friends, he was literally shooting at the bottom of the boat and getting 100 points every shot.
Wow.
So, rumor mill is Flooded Mine may be getting the fire in the hole treatment somewhere in the next few years.
Okay.
We will see how true that is.
Okay.
I don't have any inside info on that. It just seems like it's about time.
Yeah, I could see that happening, especially with the success of Fire in the Hole. This could definitely be another park improvement there, which the 17th of October, which by the time this episode comes out, it's already been announced, but it's interesting to see what enthusiasts think it is. And it's funny kind of knowing what it might be. It just makes me chuckle how the park has been teasing it.
I think a number of people have a pretty good suspicion. I've been talking about it for 2 years now on what I think is coming. And I have a feeling I'm going to be sitting there October 17th and going, "Told you!"
So no one will hear this until after October 17th, but is it true that the resort is finally coming?
I am almost positive. I would be very shocked if it's not. It seems like the obvious next step because you've had the huge success with it at Dollywood and other places. They've got the land. I think the resort is kind of a given and probably the worst kept secret out there.
Yeah.
I think most people are pretty sure of resort. I don't think that's going to be all, though.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, but a land expansion for somewhere. And I would love to see an extension of, and this might be it, I'd love to see an extension of Fireman's Land, or the Fire District now. I'd love to see that and just expand the story of Fire in the Hole, because I'm still blown away just by that. And they could do so much more with those characters and with that story and that theme. which the theming of that land, again, it just blew me away. I love just the facade. I didn't even go obviously into the kids' play area, but I could only imagine what it looks like in there.
It's fun. They've got the foam balls in there. You can still shoot and throw at everybody. And I'll go in occasionally with a friend and their kid and pop the kid.
But it's just funny hearing everybody say, "Oh, it's going to be a giga. It's going to be a giga." It's like, no, giga-sized hotel, maybe. I don't know.
So coaster enthusiasts are really stuck on the giga thing.
Yes, they are.
And it's like, okay, guys, stop talking your dreams and let's start talking reality.
Mm-hmm.
It's a family park. Yep. I don't see that in the future. Mm-hmm. But I look at everything that's happened at Dollywood and at Silver Dollar City. Dollywood from 2004 to about 2012 or so, more than doubled in size. Mm-hmm. And they've been adding, and it's really, it went from Silver Dollar City being the main park to Dollywood becoming it. And now I think they're coming back to Silver Dollar City. They redid the parking lot, massively redid it the last couple of years, and have pretty much doubled their parking. So that was the first thing. Okay, if we're going to bring in all these people, we got to have someplace for them to park. So I believe they're starting in the process now to do to Silver Dollar City what they've done to Dollywood.
Hopefully they get a
fire district. I think is a good spot to possibly launch out. If they do that, what's actually right behind the fences there, behind the fire district, is actually the maintenance and construction area from the roundhouse and then kind of behind it. So some of that would have to get moved. We'll see. Outlaw Run also has a gate there that heads out towards the woods. Okay. So you could potentially build a whole loop pretty easily from those two. So that's kind of... I don't know exactly where they're going to put this, but that's kind of where I would look at and say, okay, if I was going to put something, that's where I would put it.
Yeah. And hopefully they get hopefully they get a Big Bear Mountain type ride there. Nice family coaster.
I think Thunderation is starting to show its age. I think it's time for something along that lines. Just top of my head, I could see them doing something like a mining district, nice. Which would give them that kind of excuse for the mine train. So one of the other things they've been doing, Brad Thomas this year has been saying a lot. We have a lot of land.
Yeah.
Gee, Brad. So I think along with the resort, I think they're going to announce an expansion of the park. Mm-hmm. They have basically already said that they're going to be doing something different with what they call the Pumpkin Festival area. So that I'm expecting kind of three things in this announcement: the Pumpkin Festival area redo, the resort, and park expansion. And I'm expecting with the expansion to have restaurants and shops and probably at least one ride. So I don't know that it's going to be a big ride. It may be a couple small family things just to start, and then them kind of going, but wait, it'll come.
Yeah.
So
almost like a Wildwood Grove progression where we have a few little family rides. Oh wait, here's Big Bear. Oh wait, there's a dark ride.
Yep. Yeah. So it'll be in increments, expanding out, but this will be laying the groundwork to start some big expansion out there.
Yeah. And with that, Fire in the Hole's former spot, you showed us where that is. Mm-hmm. What do you think the fate of that will be?
So right now it's all guesswork, and being completely honest, because I still have a lot of friends in the park. And most of them are like, I don't know. So even the people that are intimately connected to that don't really know. And the one thing with Silver Dollar City when they plan is they're open to flexing and changing as they go. So I think they have some ideas, but I don't know if even they know for sure exactly what they want to do with it yet.
Yeah.
I know the building's got to go. The building itself is... the whole reason they've got a brand new Fire in the Hole is that building is done. It's end of life. So this off season, you're probably going to see the building come down. There's people out there going, we want a museum. I don't see that happening. But it is possible that it becomes an access point as well to expansion. Powder Keg is right there, so it's not as easy. But they could make the little loop, head over to Outlaw Run, and connect that if they wanted. I could see restaurants, shops. I don't see another ride going there. There's some speculation as well that the train station could go there. I don't see that. One, you put the station too far from the entrance to the park. It wouldn't be convenient. It would really log jam that area. And I think people like where it is. So I don't see the train station going down there. That was a rumor started by another website out there, and I've kind of gone, Same guy you argued with me at one point that Silver Dollar City ran 3 trains, and I'm going, they've never had 3 trains to run, let alone.
Take it from the robber. Come on, guys.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I've been out there. So, but I'll leave them nameless. Some people in the know will know, but.
Which we did get to do the train in the evening, and it was fun. I liked it. I wish we could have went out when it was more light out, but the robber element. Night
trains are fun. Once the heat of the day is gone, it gets goofy a lot of times. And there was a really good crew working that day.
Nice.
So, no, wait, I got to think about it. No, they had a different night crew.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm thinking the really good crew was the other day. Hopefully you got a good show out of it.
It was good. The robbers were good. They're funny. I think by the end of the night, the train riders were a little bit done for the day. So I guess the interaction wasn't as good as if everybody was lively.
Yeah, like I had to sit there and think about it a little bit again. And like, if it was the same crew, yeah, they were okay.
Yeah.
The ones that, like I said, that were here the other day were really good, but they were okay.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that there are some people out there that are better than others, who get the characters a little bit more, who have better timing. It's amazing how many people can't figure out how to deliver a line a certain way. So, so here, that's actually another bit of history, though. Alf Bolin was actually a real person out here.
Huh.
A real not nice person.
Yeah.
Used to hijack people at a place called Murder Rock, and it's called Murder Rock for a reason.
Nice.
So,
Yep. Again, I just love that story element to the park. It's not just hey, we got a mountain, we got a cave. Let's make this backstory, but it's true stories, true people, real events, and I love that. Even though the bald knobbers were creepy looking dudes, which is funny. I don't know if it was you or someone else, but I noticed the names of the bald knobbers are interesting. Rather loony. They're a little loony.
A little loony, yes. I laughed when I first saw that, and I went, this sounds, kind of, let's see, how should we say, a little bit wily?
Yeah.
In part of it?
Little bugs.
Yes. Yeah, a little buggy, a little coyote running. And I have not asked them, but I am sure that was an influence. Terry Sanders actually had a big role in one of them.
Oh, nice.
So, and if you don't know who Terry Sanders is, a local celebrity, he's a lot of the characters in the park. So
we got to meet Embalmer, and we met. Who was the king character? We saw King and Queen that he did.
Oh goodness, that's just for the festival, I think, and I don't know if I know that one.
But we saw him as a king, and then with a queen, they were just walking the park. And then earlier,
that would have been Mandy more than likely.
Okay,
Whoopsie Daisy for people out here. I think that's just for the festival. That one might be new.
Oh, nice. And then we saw the steampunk character he did earlier in the day.
Yes, for Time Traveler. And then he also does Doc, the last name, Wildfire Doctor.
Okay.
He has a kind of a generic character for greeting people. A lot of times, he's been doing Scarecrow lately, which has been. We were very happy to catch that. That was very entertaining.
That
yeah,
was
he's
funny
got
video.
Oh my goodness!
Y'all need to see this
so
video.
if you haven't, yes. So I've videotaped him greeting people. It's the good old who looks like a standard scarecrow
Yeah.
and then saying hi and boo to people walking by. Very entertaining.
Some people's reactions were funnier than others, and
Yes.
there had to be some muted, but
I had to mute a couple, and then the little boy he got at the end. Oh my goodness!
oh man.
I'm hopefully he'll put a link in there. You got to go follow the link and watch the video.
Yeah, you guys have to see it. It's funny. Oh man, but we do want to come back someday for Christmas, an old-fashioned Christmas, and we've heard amazing things. We can only imagine how it is during Christmas time. We experienced it during harvest and just almost like a regular season day. I can't imagine just all the lights, shows, and everything.
So you got to see, with all the pumpkins and everything, I think it's something like 1 million lights actually for the harvest part, and then all the pumpkins. For Christmas, they're around 8 million lights.
Wow, that's crazy.
I mean, it's literally every building is fully lit up, and just everywhere there's lights, and the shows are amazing. It's just a whole nother level. It's one of the few parks I could say that, having worked at Disney during Christmas, I actually think they have a better holiday celebration in Silver Dollar City than Disney does.
Wow.
So.
That's saying a lot, too. And hasn't it gone back and forth between Dollywood and Silver Dollar City for USA Today's Christmas event?
I believe so. And I haven't been to Dollywood during theirs. I imagine it's probably similar to Silver Dollar City. Silver Dollar City's got Christmas in Midtown, so it's an area. A lot of people are like, "Oh, they just bought the Osborne lights from Disney." They didn't buy them, but they were inspired by them and built it in house. And so, if you can imagine the Osborne lights used to be down there, it's that kind of a thing. They don't dance here, but it's just this huge amount of lights in one area. It's crazy.
Yeah. And that's my first thought when I saw, especially that big carousel light, I think is above Grandpa's mansion. I'm like, is that the Osborne lights? But then I asked you, and it's like, wow, it's very similar to MGM Studios.
It's very similar. They took pictures of it. They used it for inspiration. But I know a couple of the people who actually built those things.
Wow.
One of them actually worked right next door to the train with us. And so good friends. And so my first year out there, I'm looking like, that is awesome. And she went, yes. You want to know how many hours I spent welding on it? so yeah, it is all built in-house.
That's awesome. And like I said, we want to come and see it someday. So hopefully in the near future, we get to come back for it. But
Are you a thrill seeker looking for the perfect place to rest your head after a day filled with excitement? Look no further than Lodge Lovers, the trusted and recommended lodging provider of Rive Your Life Ministries. Whether you're planning for your next coaster trip, vacation getaway, or adventurous expedition, Lodge Lovers has you covered. With a wide range of rental prices to suit every budget, you can find the perfect accommodation for your needs. As a faith-based company, Lodge Lovers is committed to providing comfortable and welcoming lodging for all sorts of trips and adventures. Plus, when you book with Lodge Lovers, you're not just booking a place to stay, you're making a difference. That's right, Lodge Lovers is proud to donate 2.5% of all bookings to help Ride of Your Life Ministries. And you can rest easy knowing your stay is not just enriching your experience, but also contributing to a great cause of reaching those who need the gospel of Jesus Christ. For your next unforgettable adventure, choose Lodge Lovers. Book now and experience the perfect blend of comfort, convenience, and compassion. Visit our website, riveyourlifeministries.com, to learn more and to reserve your stay today with Lodge Lovers.
with talk of Disney, Disney has recently done their usual D23.
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to follow along with some of that and see some of those announcements?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts? Based off track
several
record.
things that I'm excited about. Several things that I thought were fantastic. There were definitely a couple I was kind of like, why? And then there was one that was like, okay, that's probably never going to happen.
Which one do you think that will be?
Villain's Land.
Yep.
They've talked about Villain's Land for at least 2 D23s in a row, and I want to say 3.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice there's still no details about where or what or how it's going to work. I think as much as anything, I think it's because they know everybody wants it. So, hey, let's make sure we get everybody cheering on the way out because we want Villain's Land.
Sounds like they were copying somebody's homework with Dark Land. Someone down the street.
So I don't. If that happens, it's going to be a long ways down the road. Mm-hmm. There were some things that, like I said, sounded great. There's a couple that I'm like, okay, this sounds like an amazing attraction, but the wrong place. I don't like what their plan is for Cars, for example. Yeah. It's an amazing sounding attraction, but
Stretching.
It's really forgetting the whole purpose and point of that area of the park. Sure, Rivers of America doesn't get a lot of traffic, but it's an aesthetic thing. And then you've got Indy Speedway over there that's just taking up a ton of space. Like, gee, Cars where Indy Speedway goes.
Mm-hmm. What?
Although, it wouldn't necessarily be Tomorrowland. You could put Cars behind Big Thunder.
Yeah.
It would blend in that way. I think that would be better as well. So, I mean, you could take the same idea for the attraction. The D23 announcements for me just really screamed of e-tickets, IP, but we don't understand overall theme and concept of the park anymore.
Yeah. Animal Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom. So Dinosaur, the whole area. I love Dinosaur the ride.
That's
I'm
amazing.
Sad that is going, but that whole part of the park never fit. The rainforest idea is interesting, but does it have to be tied in?
Yeah. I wish we got a Lion King land instead, because that would have been.
There's things that they could do in Africa with that. I still wish they would come Beastly Kingdom.
Yep.
Why aren't we using this idea? Rainforest again isn't bad, but I'm trying to figure out how Encanto and Indiana Jones fit side by side.
Two whole different worlds.
It's really what they're starting to do. I don't know if you've been to Universal Studios Hollywood.
We haven't yet,
but they've got one spot where you come down the hill because it's built in the hills, and as you come down the hill, off to your left is Jurassic Park, and then off to the right is Transformers, and I'm trying to remember what the other thing is, and you're sitting there looking at these 3 things. Oh, the Mummy. The Mummy is right there. Jurassic Park, the Mummy, and Transformers. Huh? And this is what Disney is starting to do. They're forgetting the overall concepts and just dropping e-tickets.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love e-tickets, but, come on, guys. Let's remember what the purpose and point of the area is so you can at least blend it a little bit.
Yeah.
But
we'll see in due time. But rumors are circulating Universal now that they might be getting rid of Marvel. So does that mean the world is finally getting their Avengers canvas?
I don't know how solid those rumors are, because for that to happen,
end up soon.
Yeah, Disney has to actually buy out that contract because it was a huge length contract, and I can see Disney wanting to buy it, but at the same time, then they're also going to have to pay Universal the same cost to redo and retheme the area.
Yeah.
I don't know that Disney's willing to fork out as much money as that is. If anything, they may buy out the exclusivity part. But even then, I'm kind of like, okay, so where would Avengers Campus go? Guess you could drop it at Studios because they have no idea what Studios is anymore. But
Studios, it has an identity crisis right now. I'm hoping
my kids.
I hope the Muppets stay. I hope
Yes,
the
I'm
animation
not
quartet.
optimistic there, but my son. If a lot of people don't realize, my son was a film major. One of the major reasons he became a film major was from going to Hollywood Studios and Universal Studios and seeing the behind the scenes, how the films are made. It lit something inside of him that I want to do this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do that anymore because there's no overall theme.
Yeah.
Eisner, when he dedicated the park, called it the Hollywood that never was but always shall be.
Yeah.
What? It doesn't fit anything anymore.
Yeah.
So it's sad. There's a lot of great stuff at the park, but none of it goes together.
No. I missed the days of the tram tour there, this backlot studio tour, Lights, Action, Motor, Extreme Stunt Show.
Lights, Motors, Action, yep.
And then great movie ride. That's probably one of Disney's best rides ever.
Yep.
One of the best.
The sound stages that were there, as weird as Drew Carey was, it was still fascinating to hear and see them, how they did the sound effects. A lot of behind the scenes stuff. They've kind of gradually gone away, and I understand. Yeah, I understand, but it's like, come up with something that ties it together.
Yeah.
So
now, if you were given the liberty to bring any IP to Disney World and it would make sense with a park, which one would you bring? And it would have to make sense.
And it would have to make sense.
Nada and Encanto and Indiana Jones are now friends in Latin America.
And see, this is where it hurts because Muppets is in such a bad place. I would love to see them move the Muppets to a different place and then use that area to expand Star Wars. You've got Star Tours right there. This is one of the reasons I think Muppets is doomed. It's just in a awkward bridge spot there. And I don't think Monsters, Inc. will fit in there either. Monsters, Inc. will be a great fit over the animation courtyard. Yes. But I would bring in more Star Wars. I think Star Wars, honestly, is their cash cow.
Yep.
One of the things that I miss with studios was back when they had Star Wars weekends. And there's ways that they could incorporate some of that they have not in the Galaxy's Edge. That would probably be where I'd go with. I know that's very unoriginal. But otherwise, Marvel for me, because I've been to Disneyland a couple times now since they've added in the Avengers Campus, it just doesn't work.
It's just random. They wanted to get rid of Bugs Land, so they had to put something in there.
And there's so much I want to like about it, but it just does not actually feel like you're walking into Marvel.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they could go back. It's funny because it's very cartoonesque, but Universal's Marvel Superheroes Island feels much more Marvel than Avengers Campus does. So,
I think they had the property and tried to make it the next Star Wars, but didn't make it the next Star Wars.
Yes. And it's very awkwardly shoehorned into a spot that, and again, it's like, okay, so what does Marvel have to do with California? But it would be something. Yeah. California's talking about a whole brand new park and starting that process. I almost wish they had saved the Marvel for that and done that there, and that way they could do it right. But that doesn't seem to be the route they're going.
Yeah, I think they got a hold of the Tower of Terror, knew the licensing was up on that one, so they had to throw something in there. So Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I still like Tower. I
Mm-hmm.
love Guardians. It's a neat ride, but I'm a Tower fan.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I love the Tower of Terror. It's my favorite ride at studios right now. That and Mickey and Minnie.
I had such a blast because when I was working at studios a lot as a photographer, I oftentimes would get a start time of like 11 and the park would open at 9. So I'd come in, put my work clothes into a locker and sneak over and I go ride Tower for an hour and a half. And because I knew a couple of the ride ops, okay, get off. I go through the back exit and around and hop back on. I get 3 or 4 Tower rides before I start work.
Nice. That'll get you going for the day.
Oh, yeah.
But man, so we've talked about it a little bit on the previous episode we had you on, but what were some of your favorite Disney memories being at the park, whether it was off shift or on shift?
There's just so many. And it's hard over a span of 5 years to kind of compress them. I was actually talking with somebody the other day, and they were sharing a story, though, about Make-A-Wish. And I had so many amazing moments when the Make-A-Wish families would come through. For those who aren't familiar with it, Make-A-Wish is an organization that for severely ill or life-threatening illnesses with kids, that they grant them a wish. And a lot of these kids wish their families could go to Disney. So, really, these Make-A-Wish kids, though, they were just amazing. You would see and hear, and they would inspire you. They really would. Inspire me a lot. It's like, wow, when I grow up, I want to be like them. Not sick, but like them. Courageous, strong. Oh, miss Make-A-Wish. Probably one of the hardest moments. A couple of my hardest moments were Make-A-Wish kids. Because you would see these kids come in and they were just so sick. So sick. And the characters, when they would see that, they would just love on them. You'd see 2 or 3 characters, rather than staying in their assigned spots, they just break down and swarm them and spend time. And yeah, it was amazing. And then Give Kids the World Village, which is where a lot of them would stay when they were there, is also a fantastic ministry. Got to volunteer there once. So
Wow.
But the Make-A-Wish kids, just a lot of times they were inspiring because you see them going through so much, and yet they could manage to forget it and just have a good time. So the characters at Disney World, Disneyland characters get to free roam a lot. That doesn't happen in Disney World. They've got assigned spots. But if there was a Make-A-Wish, they would leave those spots and go over to them. So you would see the characters swarm the Make-A-Wish kids, but they really could turn your day around. Sometimes if you were just, cranky guests and stuff like that. And then you get this Make-A-Wish family, you're like, okay, yeah, forget all that. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
One of the crazy, well, I don't know if what crazy. I tell this other story a couple different times on my videos that one of the most touching moments I saw was a Make-A-Wish family. At the time, Toontown was still open. So we would have the characters in County Bounty. There were actually 3 different rooms, each with 3 different meeting areas. And the families all lined up and then split up into the rooms. We were shooting pictures one day, and a couple of the managers came in and said, we're shutting Toontown down for a few minutes. What? And again, Make-A-Wish, we bring them up through the line exits, so that way they didn't have to wait in line, so they could experience as much as possible and not have to deal with people pushing in on them. This one family had come up, and this little girl was really sick. So we're going to shut it down. We're going to bring everybody together. So the room I was in, you would have one room that would have like Minnie and Chip and Dale and Goofy, and then Donald Duck, Pluto, and a couple other characters would be in another room, and then the princesses. They brought them all together into this one room. Brought this family in, brought all the characters in that were there. And this girl, I would guess she was probably about 12, and she's actually in a chair bed. So she's got IVs hooked up to her and monitors, and this girl's not doing well. And then you watch the characters just all come in and just begin to love on her. Pluto's kissing her and holding her hands, and just this big smile on her face. And you could the families are crying, all of us. A couple of the photographers continue to take pictures, and most of us just stood out of the way and watched and cried because it was just this awesome moment. And then, about 10 minutes or so, and then the family left, and we went right back to our spots and went back to normal and just continued to shoot pictures. And later that day, I took a break. And as I was coming back from break, I went over to what we called our base, where we got our assignments. And so that way I knew which character I was going to. And my equipment manager, the supervisor, is sitting there crying. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? What's going on? And she says, well, you remember that little girl? She's gone. Oh. So we had things like that a couple times, but that would hit you. And I can imagine, the characters when they found out that would. But we knew too that this girl's last moments were filled with joy and happiness, and love. And we did everything we could to make them as fantastic and as wonderful as they possibly could.
That's so awesome. And just a rewarding job there. And just truly what Disney, hate to say it was truly bringing the magic to families, even in their hardest times, and not...
I think that the people running it now, they've gotten so much into the penny pinching, they've forgotten that the magic is what brings people back. That if you focus on the experience, the money will come.
Yeah.
But if you focus on the money, you forget the experience and you end up losing both.
Yeah. And like we joked about it with the D23 stuff. Will this stuff actually happen? If you're focused on the next big latest e-ticket attraction, you're not focusing on the true meaning of Walt's vision for the park. For families to come together, for people enjoy each other and not worry about a phone or the wallet for hours.
Yeah, my last few trips, because of Lightning Lane and Genie Plus, you're constantly stuck on your phone. Constantly looking up, okay, what's the next attraction? What's the wait time? What's the show time? And you don't get a chance to look around the park and see and experience what's there because you're so busy racing from one thing to another, watching the phone the whole time. And, it's sad. They're very much forgetting it. One of the things I'm grateful for is even something as simple as a paper map. Silver Dollar City still has the paper maps.
That was my next thought there. It's like, I forgot Silver Dollar City had an app when I went to the park. It's like, I had one of the best days at any theme park there. That's why Silver Dollar City is my favorite park I've ever visited. Just because it was an authentic, this is what I remember Disney like back in the day. Amazing, amazing workers or citizens at Silver Dollar City. Mike, I want to give him a shout out here on the podcast. Mike over at Red Flanders. And, man, just that attention to guests. Just Kinsey and I were the only one in the store at the time, but he spent, I don't know how long we spent talking with him. He showed us the whole newspaper. What was the name of the newspaper?
I should know this. Hold on.
What's the name of the newspaper?
I've got one here, and there we go. Pathfinder.
Yep.
The Pathfinder. There we go.
Just the theming of the Pathfinder. There's a map in it, and then he showed us that there's a scavenger hunt you could do in the park that doesn't require an app to do it.
Yep.
We sadly didn't get to do it, but it sounded so cool. You're chasing down the bald knobbers, and it's like just the charm of a newspaper of all things, and just the experience that you had there. Dollywood, and it's a Hershey thing, honestly. It's like Dollywood and Silver Dollar City has been some of the best experience I've had at a theme park. Just interactions, just when you go to a Hershey park, you don't have to worry about something weird coming across or whatever. You're going to have a good, wholesome family experience. Don't have to worry about the phone. Don't have to think about Genie Plus or anything like that. Sure, they have the Trailblazer pass, but that's an option if you want to have it. But you can still have a good time. Even if you didn't have a Trailblazer and the line was long, you could still see all the details. And that's one of the things I loved, is the details of these queues. Time Traveler was amazing. Have all these clocks and gears and blueprints and stuff. Then I even joked with Kinsey about Thunderation. It looks like I'm about to get jump scared. It looks like a haunted house almost. It looks like a haunted attraction, but just the detail. And that's something a lot of parks miss, is just going back to the basics of what worked. And
Silver Dollar City has a slogan, a catchphrase that they really mean, that they emphasize to their employees. It's called "Make Memories Worth Repeating."
Yep.
And it's what Disney used to be. It's do something special for everybody so that it makes a memory that they want to come back and do again.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was so much fun, because at the train at the time, we were allowed to be obnoxious, but it was because it was all focused in, okay, make it memorable. So yes, we're giving crazy dumb answers to questions with a smirk on our face, going, "Hey, you getting the joke? Come on." And playing with the kids, and we were entertainers. Yeah, we're a ride operator, yeah, some train conductor, but we're entertaining. And when I was at Disney, it was the same thing. As yes, I'm just a photographer, but I'm part of the show. And Disney does everything in production and Broadway show terms, and they've kind of forgotten the show. Because even the guests, they're the audience, they're partaking in this, and it's kind of sad. I love that Hershey still emphasizes it. There are still parks out there that do emphasize it, but Universal's almost doing more of it now than Disney is.
Yeah.
So hopefully Disney comes back. I'm hoping they get a CEO who, replacing Iger when he retires, who's a dreamer. They need a dreamer again.
They need Michael Eisner. They need Michael Eisner back.
They need Michael Eisner with Frank Wells. Once Frank Wells passed away, he had about a couple more years than Eisner. There's a reason that Roy Disney chased Eisner out. Eisner went penny pinching like Bob Chapek. They had a lot in common there, and I'm not a Chapek fan. They need the dreamer Eisner who had Frank Wells. They need the dreamer Walt. Somebody like that again.
Yeah. And that's the thing I love about the Hershey's, is just it's a family ran business, and their heart is in the right place.
Yep.
And not just because they're a Christian family, but they want to provide the best experience for someone. This may be their only time going to Silver Dollar City. It may be their only time going to Dollywood. They're starting to work on Kentucky Kingdom. Praise the Lord. But
yeah, they're finally starting to. They've been there long enough. They're finally starting to get their grip on it now. It's been a process.
Yeah, and even Newport Aquarium, I've seen a change since they bought that. And it's just neat to see the future of the theme park industry. And if only other parks were to look at them and model after their business, they could be as successful. And winning all these USA Today best top 10s, these golden ticket awards, which shout out to Fire in the Hole. Well-deserved best new family attraction for this year. Well-deserved. But yeah, so... Man, it's been great. Just talking parks with you, Silver Dollar City, Disney, all that good stuff, and just As always, you're welcome back on here. But let's go ahead and have you plug how folks can get connected with you, Sir Willow, and anything else you want to promote.
So I'm easy to find. Drop a Sir Willow search into any search engine and you're going to get me. Mostly YouTube. Produce videos there. But I've got a fan page and group on Facebook as well. And a couple other little things. I don't do Twitter as much, or X, or whatever it is now. And Instagram just a little bit. So mostly Facebook and YouTube at this point. But that's where I have most of my stuff. I do, in addition to the Sir Willow, which is the amusement park, theme park, Disney stuff, I do have another smaller channel called The Burning Bush with George Burnash. And that's kind of my Christian one. You'll see short devotions on there, me talking about current topics and stuff like that. I don't update that one as often, but if you want to catch me actually preaching, that's more where you'll find that. But that's pretty much where I'm at is those couple spots. So, and but yeah, do a Google search for Sir Willow. You'll find some interesting things.
Yeah, but we'll drop all those links down below so you can check those out. And one last question for you here, George. This is one that's been a new question that we've asked all of our guests since you've been on. Each week, each Saturday, we have something called the Song Spotlight, where we get to highlight a song that means something to our guests.
Oh no, Craig's
so
going to get scared now.
So, what is one song you want to highlight this week?
Okay, so before I tell you a story, one of the ongoing jokes on my YouTube channel from one of my best supporters, a good friend of mine, is please don't sing. Because I'm not the best singer, and so it's become a joke that people will feed me lines wanting me to sing and have Craig going, ow, 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 ow. And so, Craig, this is going to be for you. All right, go ahead.
All right. Craig, this is for you. What's one song that you want to highlight this week for our Song Spotlight?
Ooh, oh gosh. There have been some amazing praise songs that have just really been hitting home. One of my favorites is one I don't dare sing because I can't sing it up, but it's actually just called Praise. That has been fantastic. See if I can get this other one. And I'm going to forget the name, but the chorus is basically, he picked me up, turned me around, set my feet on solid ground. I'm going to, and just.
I thank God. I thank God.
Yes, I thank God. That one, I'm selfish. I think our praise team at our church here in Branson, it does the best version of that. I've been at other churches. Ours just rocks that song when they do it. And we've got some very talented people. Some people might know the name Alan Asbury. He's had a couple big country hits years past. That's our worship leader at church.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I thank God and then praise him, which is making the rounds right now on the radio. Radio, that'll date me. On the streaming services. Those two are probably my most played currently. So
awesome. We'll definitely highlight those this week. But thanks as always, George, for coming on. We do appreciate you and just thank you for your friendship. And we're excited to see what God has in store in the days to come.
Thank you so much. It's been fun. Love being on with you.